Hello again. Hallo meine gute deutsche Freundin, Shirley. Okay, yesterday I made a mistake. I had 15.1 up. I left 15.1 up there for my second video. That should have been 15th day second video. This is the 16th day first video. And what I think I'll maybe only do one video today because I think I can do this. Where I'd like you to go first is to the chronological survey. That's the, and before I get any further, there's no quiz tomorrow. I'll give you a quiz maybe next week. I don't want to stop to take the time for it. No quiz tomorrow. Probably a field trip Friday. I'm hoping so. All right. Go to the 19th section, the chronological survey. I think it's the 19th section. Might be 18th. And there, underneath the prehistoric period, you could add, tab in and put down fire making. Nobody knows who first figured it out. Nobody knows who first, when it happened. But at a certain point, humans got control of fire, and they could make it. That was a huge achievement. That could be regarded as a classic in the history of technology. All right, well, that's going to give us an excuse to look at a video, and I hope you'll do this. But before we do that, let's jump now. We're going to jump around a good bit. Well, let's first of all jump to literary devices. I think this is the sixth section. The sixth section, 6.1, I think it says literary devices. And go there, and underneath it, centered up, write down tricks of the writer's trade. That's the way I like to define literary devices. The various trades have tricks. When I was carpentering, I learned that a trick of the trade is to wear a hat. You know, it's really hard to carpenter if you don't have a hat on, because if you don't have a hat on, you don't have any place to hold your pencil. It wouldn't be a pen, it would be a pencil. But a carpenter has to have a pencil in his hand as soon as he thinks of pencil. It's got to be there. That's the place to have it. If you're not a professional carpenter, you may not have it there, and in which case you have to put everything down, go look for your pencil to mark it, and you put it down. A mistake. Your pencil should be right there. That's a trick of the carpenter's trade. Well, anyway, writers have tricks that make their writing better. One of them is an allusion. So skip a line, having written that, skip a line, go all the way over to the left and write allusion. Don't confuse it with illusion when you see something that's not really there. An allusion is when you refer to something famous, a reference to something famous. We've had several already. We're going to have more. They're very easy. The one I'll reference as an example for now is the Prince in Much Ado About Nothing referred to their work as one of Hercules' labors. Well, Hercules is famous, where he said, Cupid's glory shall be ours. Cupid is somebody famous. It is so easy to refer to something famous. When you do that, that's called an allusion. All right, that was on page, I think, 6.1. I'll get myself straightened up, and I'll be able to tell you that for sure. I'll get a chart hanging somewhere, and I'll tell you exactly. But you can find it. Now go to genres mentioned in class. That, I think, is 3.1. And creation story was the first genre we had. I don't think you have to skip a line under that. I don't believe I'll add any, so you go to the very next line. But go all the way over to the left and write down prehistoric fiction. You hear a lot about historical fiction, historical fiction. Prehistorical fiction would be fiction that made-up story that occurs before the time of writing. Well, an example would be Missing Link. I don't know if you looked at it or not. I told you about that one. It's kind of strange. It's a made-up story, and it takes place in 1 million BC, and not exactly dealing with humans. They're not the main characters there, but I like to throw that in there. It's available. Well, what I'd like you to look at today is a clip from a movie called Quest for Fire. It's a made-up story. It's prehistorical fiction. It's serious, though. This is serious prehistoric fiction, not the whimsical stuff. I'll talk about that probably tomorrow or the next day. This is serious. They actually try to have you see what was it really like for humans to live in prehistorical times. Well, Quest for Fire, set about 80,000 BC. There's how you'll find it. It's 1981, and it's not. I didn't find a way that you could just watch the whole thing online for free. You can get it off Netflix. It's there, but you'll have to sign up for it. It's not instantly available. However, at this guy's channel, he has a clip of it, and that's the part that I'd really like you to see. You may be confused when you see the name there, La Guerra del Fuego. I forgot the L. Del Fuego. That's Spanish. Its original name actually was La Guerre du Feu, which is French. It was a Canadian movie, I guess. And I think its international name is The War for Fire. But anyway, you'll find it Quest for Fire. And the clip I'd really like to see, I'd be disappointed if you didn't, is the part that he has that shows one of the more primitive, or less primitive people making fire in a cave. It's pretty amazing footage. Quest for Fire proposes that there are, at that point, at least two cultures of humans, or maybe you could say there's Neanderthal man and Cro-Magnon man. But anyway, they're culturally vastly different, and the more primitive run into the more civilized that paint themselves gray. And the more civilized ones, well, civilized, that was a wrong word, more technologically advanced. Forget I said civilized, that was wrong. They are kind and they teach him, but then he runs away. And I don't want to tell you, there's no point in telling the whole story. And I'm not sure you should watch this whole movie. I don't know about that. I think if you can find a trailer, that's okay. You watch the trailer. The other parts that I like to watch show the kids in school are the two parts. One where they desperately try to keep their fire going and fail out on an island. And then there's two. Right at the very end where they come back with fire. They actually come back having found fire. They can't make it is what that proposes, but they can keep it going. I like to show that. And I also like to show the part where they fight against, they've learned to use a throwing stick. A throwing stick, there's a fancy name for it, but a throwing stick was a development before the bow and arrow that made it possible to throw a smaller spear very much farther, or farther than a single spear, and throw many of them. You don't see. I liken it. I compare it to when I was a kid. I would take a springy stick and put an apple on the end of it and whip it, and it would be fun for us because we could see how far that apple would go. I always warn kids, if they're going to do that in town, be a little careful because you're going to whip that apple. It's going to go way out of sight, and you might hear the crash of a window. But it was so much fun to see that we could throw it so far. Well, a throwing stick had that effect. So I'd like you to see that. I'd like you to watch that clip at least, and more of it if you want to. That's up to you. I think the only other thing I want to do today is I wanted to take a little bit of time to tell you about the class. I'm having fun with this. I'm really enjoying it. There's some homeschoolers that I think have begun to come aboard, which is good. You know, it's free. I find that I think I can keep up to about the speed I did in public school in about 20 minutes a day or so. I'll have to look to see, but I'm enjoying it. Give me feedback if you want to, spread the word if you want to. It doesn't really matter. I'll probably keep going. And once again, I'm probably forgetting to tell you something important, but that's the way it'll always be tomorrow. So I hope to see you tomorrow.